Power bill through the roof? At 320 Solar, that power bill will be no more. In fact, about 90% of our customers report lower solar payments than with electricity. That's more power in your pocket. 320 Solar. Power up.
It's the Audible with Joshua Cole Allen, live on Bucks Report.
Welcome to the Audible. I'm your host, Joshua Cole Allen. Changing the call here live every Wednesday on Bucks Report, powered by 320 Solar. Check out 320solar.com. Finally say goodbye to your electric bill. Take power back into your own hands with 320solar.com. Check them out for some awesome deals and promotions they've got going on, as always. As always, welcome to the Audible. Thanks for tuning in. We have an action-packed show for you tonight. We're going to have guest Scott Gulbranson, host of Silver and Black Today radio show on R&R 920 AM, Behind Enemy Lines, taking us into this Oakland Raiders or Las Vegas Raiders team and about their strengths, weaknesses, what the Buccaneers should try to exploit, where they're going to come after the Buccaneers. And also we'll talk about some of this COVID-19 issues going on with this team as well. And if this game will even be played on time. We'll also have Ozzy the Sports Junkie from Sports Junkie Radio, newest member of Bucks Report family. So we'll have him on and maybe a couple surprises along the way. But let's jump right into the kickoff right away. Some busy stuff, a lot of things happening this week, a lot of transactions. But we'll jump right into the injury report. Pretty healthy squad right now. I'm kind of excited about that. I know you guys are too. Any comments, fire away. We'll get to those. We'll talk to you. Any questions you got as well. But we had two did not participate. Don't worry. It was just Tom Brady and Gronk for Veterans Days off. So that's pretty cool. That we only had two players that didn't participate, and they were because of Veterans Day offs. Everyone else was limited participation or full participation. Leonard Fournette was a big one, full participation. I'll run through Andrew Adams with a hamstring limited, Levante David with a knee limited, Mike Evans with an ankle limited, Leonard Fournette ankle full, William Golston bicep limited, Chris Godwin hamstring limited, Scotty Miller hip groin limited, JPP knee limited, but we've got used to him just taking those limited practices. And Antoine Winfield Jr. with a shoulder, who is also limited. So injury report came out. Everyone seems to be pretty healthy. It's great going into this Las Vegas Raiders team, which I know what you're thinking, Las Vegas Raiders, well, but they beat the Saints and they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So this team is not a team to underestimate. I think that they're going to give the Buccaneers a little bit of a run for their money. I know everyone wants to talk back and forth about the Gruden and the connection, and that was like almost 20 years ago. There's no players here. There's almost no staff here. It's a completely different team. I don't think that plays anything. I don't think Gruden's like, I can't wait to beat the Bucs. You won a Super Bowl with the Bucs, and the Bucs players are like, oh, let's show Gruden what. It's nothing like that. So let's jump in here. Biggest news on Sunday after a great win, the Packers gave up. Halfway through the fourth quarter with 7.5 minutes left, pulled Aaron Rodgers, said, hey, we can't do anything against this defense. Let's not injure Aaron Rodgers because they're getting after him. I loved it. I love to see teams give up, especially teams that are coming in who are that good, who have the most, they're on pace to score the most points in history. And they were 4-0. And right back down to earth they come because this defense is just tremendous. And we'll get into some of those defensive rankings as well. But during the game and subsequently right after the game, there was a big trade. It might not be big in terms of grand scheme, but a big trade for nose tackle Steve McClendon from the Jets. We gave up a 2022 sixth-round pick. We got Steve McClendon and a 2023 seventh-round pick. So it's a win situation for us, kind of a lose situation for them. I'm pretty sure they're selling everybody off. Le'Veon Bell got cut. They just traded somebody else today to the 49ers, a linebacker. They just traded Steve McClendon to us. I think they're kind of doing these solids for some of these veteran guys. Get them out of there because that place is a mess. Just an absolute disaster, dumpster fire. I feel bad for anyone in that organization that has to play for that team because they don't know what they're doing. But huge help, nose tackle. Guy's really good. He's a big run stuffer who can also shows glimpses of getting after the pass rusher. He did very well with Todd Bowles in his systems, got 2 years playing for him when he was the coach of the Jets. And we know Vita Vea's out for the season. So adding a guy of his caliber, he's 34 years old, so he's not going to wow you with athleticism or speed, but he's a professional. He was one of the leaders in the locker room. He was actually a captain on defense. So anytime you can bring a guy like that in as a rotational piece to kind of help that big loss with Vita Vea. I mean, there's no other words to describe it. He's been one of the best run stuffers in the league for the past couple of years. So to be able to get some more added reinforcements there to rotate in, huge trade, huge win for the Buccaneers in my mind. I don't think there's really anywhere else you can go to look. I know everyone wanted to trade Donovan Smith, but he's kind of turned it around. So a couple other roster moves they've made over the past couple days. Mazzy Wilkins, cornerback, USF, Plant High School, Tampa's very own. Mazzy Wilkins is back to the practice squad. And they also signed a rookie defensive tackle, Kobe Smith, to the practice squad. In order to add him, they had to remove someone. Dakota Dixon was that guy. Safety, which means my man Javon Hagan is holding strong as that safety on there. They must really like what they've seen of him. And if you've seen the program and you've seen him on here, he's a friend of Bucks Report. He's a really gifted athlete. I call him Antoine Winfield Jr. Light because he's the same type of mold and safety. He can be everywhere, all over the field. John Hurst was activated from IR. Him and John Molchan both went on IR to start the season. He's been activated. He was also then waived and then added back to the practice squad. So John Hurst back. They really like what they called him. So they called him Crazy Legs in the offseason because of his speed. Tom Brady gave him that nickname. Another big reinforcement for this team, tight end Anthony Auclair. He's been designated from return to IR, which means he has 21 days to be either activated to the active roster or put on the season-long IR. So look for him to join the active roster at some point. They did upgrade Tanner Hudson. Watch that situation, see what they do with that. And then going to the practice squad, back to the practice squad, they protected kicker Greg Joseph for the 7th week in a row. He's been protected every week so far. And then defensive tackle Jeremiah Ledbetter, who, of course, was promoted to the active roster last week. So there's some transaction moves around the team. Let's get into some stats now because we all love stats, right? Rojo, Ronald Jones, the victim of volume, as Peter H. Blake would say. He's third in rushing in the league. Third place. What a G, huh? 472 yards. You give him the rock, let him tote it. Feed the man, he's going to put up. JPP, your man, third place in the league with sacks with 5.5. Shaq Barrett is doing his job. People might be saying, well, where's Shaq? He's disappearing. But his attention alone is allowing JPP with his natural gifts and his athleticism to get to the quarterback more. And you've seen it. You've seen how many sacks this team has been able to compile from all sorts of different positions. And with Shaq Barrett there, getting that extra notice, JPP's been the one benefiting right now with 5.5 sacks. And Ndam Kasu's been lighting it up as well. Evans is second in the league with touchdown. Adam Thielen, he was tied with him going into last week. He scored one. Evans didn't. He's second in the league, but still. And then Carlton Davis tied for first in passes defended with 10. So this team is really all over the field. Offense, defense. Tom Brady is second in the league with 14 touchdowns. All over the field. They're near the top of the leaderboards and stats and everything like that. So you got to love it. What else do we have? Crowd attendance. We know that they were letting more fans in. The total numbers was 15,540 for the Packers game. Look for it to stay around there. And then possibly as the season progresses, maybe they'll up the limit more. But I haven't heard any repercussions from that. So obviously, the biggest thing we know from that Chicago Bears team was penalties. Bucks beating the Bucks as something they've done throughout the years. Well, coming out of last week's game, they had 0 penalties, 0 turnovers, and 0 sacks. That's the second time in NFL history that it's ever been done, ever. So, I mean, that's great right there. If they can build upon that and keep that going, that's just going to be great for this team. To keep momentum building and realize that, hey, we can play mistake-free, penalty-free football and turnover-free football and beat the best. and beat the best in the league, because that's what the Packers came in as, one of the best teams in the league. You don't beat yourself. This is what happens. Results 38. Eric said 38 points straight. Second largest victory by the Buccaneers team ever, behind that 41-0 win back in 2000 against the Chicago Bears. Their plus 55 point differential is the best in the NFC, and we're talking about teams like the Seahawks who just keep throwing it up and passing the ball, and it's not by a couple, it's by 17 points. So they're also third in the league overall behind the Ravens and Steelers. So they're putting up points and keeping teams from stopping points at a great rate. They're the second team in 20 years to have 10 takeaways, 10 sacks, allow less than 70 rush yards per game in the first six games, other than the 2008 Pittsburgh Steelers, who then went on to win the Super Bowl. So this team is doing things, making history on defense for sure. That hasn't been done, and if it has been done, it's only been done once. So, I mean, this defense is for real. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on the defense and what you think and what their limit is. Is the sky the limit? You think they're gonna? I mean, coming into the season on Peter's show and my own show, I dubbed them as a top 5 defense, top 5 offense. Right now, we're looking at definitely a top 5 defense. The offense, I think, will come together, but we got to wait and see, because right now, PFF, Pro Football Focus, I'm jumping around a little bit, I'm sorry, has the team graded overall as an 86.3 offensive defense combined. That's good for first in the league. Their offense is 79.5, which is good for 8th in the league. And their defense is 74.9, which is good for 3rd in the league. So according to Pro Football Focus, who I put a lot of stock into because they know their stuff, they do their research, they know their numbers, this is the best team in the league. Number 1 in the league on offense and defense combined, and 3rd and 8th on defense and offense, respectively. So, and we haven't seen all the weapons. I mean, even Chris Godwin today in his press conference said, I'm not 100% healthy, but I can go out there and do stuff, but I'm not 100%. So, I mean, once the team gets 100% and we really start seeing what they can do, it's going to be scary. I really think once this train gets rolling, as you kind of saw, ain't nobody going to be able to keep up with this team and be able to score enough points that this team can put up, because this defense is just too good and there's too many weapons to stop. Where do you go? I mean, the Buccaneers have been doing this without Leonard Fournette, without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin, without OJ Howard, without. We're saying that over and over again. Well, he's not playing. And once everyone's good to go and ready to play and ready to be healthy, and this ball starts getting rolling, ain't no one's going to stop. No one's going to stop this offense from putting up points. It's just how I feel. I mean, you guys might feel differently. Let me know in the comments, but no one's going to stop them. Another big news. The Buccaneers restructured Ali Marpet's contract, turned his 2020 salary into a bonus. It freed up $4.125 million in cap space. Now, I know what you're thinking. Are they making a move? Maybe, maybe not. That cap space does run out in 2020, so maybe they're working on an extension. I know Blake Anthony on his show, Sports Talk 49, had Ron Butler, the agent for Levante David. Maybe something's brewing there where they're talking about extension. Godwin needs to be extended. Shaq Barrett, unfortunately, cannot be extended because of the franchise tag, and the negotiation window has ended. But there's other people on this team that can be extended, renegotiated. So maybe they do make a move. I'm not sure. I mean, Greg right here says, who do you honestly think could be a trade for us? I don't know. I mean, I don't see a huge, necessarily big gap on anywhere. Maybe you think about maybe a guy like John Ross from the Bengals, just to get a little bit more speed. And because of the injuries to the wide receiving core, has kind of left them decimated a little bit. But I don't really know where you need to really trade for anyone to improve this team. I think the secondary is showing you what we saw at the end of last year. They're building upon it. Jamel Dean, according to Pro Football Focus, is the second highest graded cornerback through week 6 with a 90.5 rating. And Carlton Davis is the guy who's been getting the big guys. So, Jamel Dean's rated the second best cornerback in the league. It's like, where do you go? You're going to bring in a veteran quarterback? You got Ross Cockrell. So what are you going to do that for? Guys played in 49 games. I don't really know where you go for a trade. to bring in anybody like that. So I think they stay pat. I think that move is just for wiggle room, just in case down the line they might need somebody or anything like that, in case of injuries. I don't see them going out and make a big splash move. Couple more stats we'll get to real quick before, because we have our guests in the lobby. Pro Football Focus has Tom Brady the third highest rated quarterback through week 6 with a 90.1, and the most big time throws in the league. Second is Russell Wilson, of course. Big play Russ, let him cook. Bucks PFF have the Bucks defense when blitz has when the Bucks defense blitz, they have 6 interceptions, which is the most in the league. They have 15 sacks, which is the second in the league. So, I mean, when they're blitzing, they're doing exactly what you want. They're either causing turnovers or they're getting to the quarterback on a remarkable rate. So it's exciting to see this defense just continue to better and gel, and it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. So real quick, last one before we get to our guest. PFF coverage grade, they're first in pass rush. I'm sorry. PFF, their coverage grade is they're first in coverage and they're second in pass rush. The only team in the top 5 in both. So, I mean, the coverage is there. The pass rush is there. They're top 5 in both, 1 and 2. It's going to be great to see this team just continue to get better and continue to gel together. But with that being said, we have our guest in the lobby. He is Scott Gulbranson, host of Silver and Black Today radio show on RNR 920 AM. He's going to be breaking down behind the enemy lines. Again, you are watching the Audible. If you're just joining, with Joshua Cole Allen, powered by 320 Solar. Check out 320solar.com to save you some money on your electric and take it back into your own hands. Scott, how we doing, my man?
Good, JCA. How you doing, man? Everything well down there?
Doing great, Family's good. Life is good. Bucks are good. We're good.
It's nice when they all come together, isn't it?
Absolutely. You guys are coming off a pretty big high, too, there over in Vegas with that win against the Chiefs. Improbable win. But let me tell you something. The Chiefs, it looks like teams have their kryptonite, because they do not look like Superman this year.
Well, I'll tell you, when you're the world champion, you're no longer a secret, right? I mean, not that the Chiefs were a secret before they won the Super Bowl last year, but that's the price you pay for being the best, is that everybody is now gunning for you. Everybody spends extra time. And I think the Raiders, because it's a division rival as well, have spent time not only preparing for them, but actually building their team to compete with them over the next 10 years, because Patrick Mahomes isn't going anywhere.
Not with that $500 million contract. But let's get into this Las Vegas, where I keep calling them Oakland sometimes, but Las Vegas Raiders, where they play in the Roomba, brand new stadium.
Roomba! Be careful. Raider Nation's going to get upset with you.
No, it's a great stadium. I actually love it. I love the eternal flame for Al Davis and everything like that. But let's get into this team. What are some of the strengths and weaknesses of this team that the Bucks could look to exploit, and they can look to exploit in the Bucks?
So I think if you look at the Raiders team and what they've been able to do really well, that's been on offense, which had been their problem last year. They couldn't score on offense, especially in the second half. So they go out in the draft, they get Henry Ruggs. They lack speed, they lack the vertical game, and a lot of the times that was critical comments coming Derek Carr's way, but the reality was he didn't have wide receivers. When the whole Antonio Brown craziness ended last year, they were left without a plan at wide receiver, because they had put all their eggs in that basket. It didn't work out, as we all know, and madness ensued. So last year they really had Josh Jacobs. They had a cast of characters at wide receiver, but what they did have is they had Darren Waller at tight end, one of the greatest comeback stories, I think, in the last 10 years in the NFL. Darren Waller coming back from substance abuse, having 90 catches last year, and really being their top wide receiver, the top receiver overall. But clearly, even with a system like you have in Tampa, where you want the tight end to be involved and you want them to be heavily involved, you don't want them to be the only tool you have in your passing game. So they went out, they got Henry Ruggs. They also drafted Brian Edwards out of South Carolina in the 3rd round as well. They signed veteran Nelson Aguilar, who has that kind of reputation as having the dropsies, which he's not done in his time here in Las Vegas yet. So they went out, they did that. You add Josh Jacobs, right? Now, Josh Jacobs is kind of, as Coach Gruden would say, the straw that stirs the drink. The problem is they're about to face the Buccaneers, who have the best running defense in the National Football League. So it'll be interesting to see what gives there. But the run game mixed with the passing game has been very, very productive for the Raiders. They've struggled a little bit at times against the Patriots on the road. But other than that, we've seen what they did against the Kansas City Chiefs, where, frankly, as weird as it seems to say it, Derek Carr outplayed Patrick Mahomes, just plain and simply. It wasn't just a case of the Chiefs not playing well. It was the Raiders executed and have had their best game of the season thus far, right behind it being the game against New Orleans, which they won here, that first Monday Night Football game of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Things are starting to come together for that organization. As you said, Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs are really some really bright spots. Brian Edwards, he looks like a really good player, but he's been injured. I really like Hunter Renfrow, and obviously they lost Terrell Williams really early in the offseason. So that kind of was a blow to them. So speaking of that, there are a few wide receivers available out there. You think they dip their feet in that Antonio Brown water again?
No, and I don't actually think that they will pursue any wide receivers, because they're really happy. If you look at Nelson Aguilar, what he's been able to do is they've spread the ball around a lot. So you'll see guys. You mentioned Hunter Renfrow. We have a segment every Tuesday with Hunter on our radio show, and he's one of those guys that you might think, well, he's a little underutilized, but when you talk to the team and you talk to him about it, he says, you know what, we like it. We don't care if we only get 4 catches a game. That's fine as long as we make the most of them. Aguilar has a perfect passer 2 rating. He's the only one in the NFL with it. So when he's gotten in there, he hasn't dropped the ball. He's made the most of it, especially with Henry Ruggs out up until last week. And then you have Renfrow, who I think will actually be a key against the Buccaneers if they're going to have a chance against them, because they're going to have to spread the ball out, and Henry Ruggs is going to get a lot of attention. But that vertical game and whatnot. But I think they're set at wide receiver. I think where they really need help is on the defense. And of course, today, if you haven't heard, the entire Raiders offensive line was sent home due to COVID protocol. So, they might need to sign some guys off the street for the offensive line if those guys aren't able to come back quickly.
Yeah, because Trent Brown was actually placed at the list. You also have your first round pick, Damon Arnette, on there as well. I'm not sure how well he's been playing this year, but still a first round pick is usually a good talent. But yeah, I mean, I definitely I know I've heard rumors maybe Julio Jones and stuff like that, but wide receiver, if you spread the ball around a lot, and Derek Carr does that pretty efficiently for the most part, I think they'll be fine in that matter. The thing is that I'm seeing is you see Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean. I just mentioned he's the second-rated quarterback in the league. Carlton Davis is first in passes defended. Do they really have a guy that can really match up and beat them on coverage consistently coming into this matchup, besides Henry Ruggs with his speed maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think they did it effectively. I would invite Bucs fans who kind of want to see a little bit about how they attack good defenses, and I know New Orleans has been up and down, and they're in your division. But that first Monday night game, the Raiders played against a very experienced and talented secondary and really did well. In fact, they won the game because of Henry Ruggs went deep on a pass, and Lattimore couldn't keep up with him and had to commit a pass interference. And that's what was the difference in the game. So I think if you look at that, it'll be great matchup. The speed of Henry Ruggs is a difference maker for the Raiders because it does free things up. Aguilar is not exactly slow. He's not a true X wide receiver without Brian Edwards there. They lack that. But then you go back to tight end, you have Waller, but then you have Foster Moreau, who's a really good young big tight end as well, who catches the ball. And then you have Jason Witten, the old man in the river, who's there, and he's not gotten a lot of targets, but he's always in there. He's always in there blocking. So it'll be a great matchup, and it's by far the most difficult, I think, from a defensive matchup for the Raiders that they've had all season.
Yeah, especially with Buccaneers getting all the weapons healthy back at the same time. We have a question real quick coming in from Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats. He says, and I'm kind of wondering this too, where's the weakest or most vulnerable part of this Raiders defense? Because, drawing up the game plan, that's something that Tom Brady, Byron Leftwich, and Bruce Arians are going to try to attack.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'll give you a multi-level answer because there's a couple. Number one, it's got to start with the defensive front. The defensive front has been very, very disappointing for the Raiders. Now, the caveat there is they played their best half of football against the Chiefs the second half 2 weeks ago when they held Patrick Mahomes to 8 points in the half, which doesn't happen, right? So they came along, they got pressure on Mahomes, made him uncomfortable in the pocket, and really were able to win that game and help the Raiders escape Kansas City with their first win in a long time. That said, consistently they have not put it together. They've made big plays. They made one play against Carolina, which resulted in the win. They made a big play, actually two big plays against New Orleans, which helped the Raiders there. But overall, they've been giving up 30 points a game, and they just have not been able to pressure. Max Crosby, the fourth-round draft pick out of Eastern Michigan a year ago, who had 10 sacks his rookie season, he's been very good, but has not been able to get home as well. So they've not really been able to put the pressure, which is a problem if you're facing Tom Brady, because if Tom Brady if he's left in the pocket comfortable, he will kill you. So that's the biggest weakness. Secondary is also a weakness, not because they don't have the talent. You mentioned Damon Arnett. He was actually doing very well. Yeah, he gave up a couple big plays here and there, but he was an alpha dog, did great. And they miss him. They miss him. Trayvon Mullen on the other side is doing very, very well. Jonathan Abram also in COVID protocol.
Yes.
So we don't know if he's going to play. So I would say the defensive front without a doubt, and then that defensive backfield with the wide receivers the Buccaneers have, they're going to have their hands off the full all game too as well.
Yeah, just looking at it, they rank 30th in yards play allowed at 6.25, and that's something I think, as you said, that Tom Brady, you give him time in the pocket, he's going to take advantage of that, because as you're seeing, if you've watched any of the Buccaneers tape or anything games leading up to this, it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid between Tom Brady's offense and BA's offense. They'll take shots down the field, and he's making these 45-yard, 50-yard throws like he's 23 again, and they're spot on the money, and then he'll kill you with a dink and dunk and passes to the running backs and tight ends across the middle too.
Yeah, but I also think, though, that the Buccaneers obviously have their running game starting to roll, right? So that's 2 straight games with 100 yards rushing, right?
3.
So I 3. Okay, so 3. I missed one. So that to me says that defensive front for the Raiders is going to have to pick it up. And they have some talent up there. They signed Malik Collins from the Cowboys in the offseason. They have Maurice Hurst, who came off the COVID list now. He's eligible to play. So we'll see what they're able to do up there. But just like they did against the Chiefs, they're going to have to disrupt the quarterback, or it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, if you guys are just joining here, I'm with Scott Gulbranson, host of Silver and Black Today radio show on R&R 920 AM. If you guys have any questions for him, he knows all about this Las Vegas Raiders team that the Buccaneers are going to be going up against. We've had a couple questions. We're going to wrap it up soon. So if you guys have any questions for him, get them in now. And again, it's the Audible with Josh Cole, powered by 320 Solar. So just kind of thinking about how this game is going to go. Obviously, we know the Raiders can score points. They're 6th in the league with offense. And David Carr has been great with it, not turning the ball over. I think he's got, 1 interception, right?
Yeah, 1 interception going back to last year, and that's the thing. If Derek Carr has the time to throw and his line gives him protection, he's very effective, and he can throw the ball deep. A lot of people question whether or not he could. You go back to 2016, where he actually killed the Buccaneers. The last time, I think that's the last time they played. 500
and 500.
I think 517. So Derek Carr can do it. He's early this year, he's not had his complete offensive line. The first time he had his starting offensive line incomplete was against the Chiefs, and look at the results. Now Trent Brown tests positive for COVID. They're back to not having their offensive line complete. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, they can put points on the board, and I think that, again, they're going to have to establish the run in some semblance. Now the Packers couldn't do it against the Buccaneers and with a good running back. Yeah, and so the Raiders are going to have to do that and utilize the speed that they have at wide receiver in Henry Ruggs, and really try to spread the ball around as much as possible. So it'll be interesting. But Arians and Gruden know each other well. Their families are very well connected for a long, long time, going back to Gruden's father and Bruce Arians getting the job at Temple. So there's a lot of connections there. And, of course, John's history there and Tampa and being in the Ring of Honor. It's got a lot of subplots, this game, which make it very, very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And as you said, I mean, that's the key for the Raiders is to establish some semblance of the run so they can stick with the play action, not have to go away from it, spread the ball around, get everyone involved. But without Trent Brown, it's going to be really tough because you have some really hungry pass rushes out there. Shaq Barrett is obviously doing what he's doing. He doesn't have the sacks he did last year, but you're seeing the production from linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties. Nadam Kasu, JPP is third in the league with 5.5. You're seeing that attention go to him, which is allowing other places to open up. And right now they're doing the contract tracing. So the whole offensive line for the Raiders was sent home, and we don't know what's going to happen, how close they were, how many of these offensive linemen, other than Trent Brown, because he's ruled out already. He's in COVID-19. How many other of these offensive linemen could potentially be put in there? So I think that's a key thing to monitor in the game. And if there are enough, then obviously they're going to be doing extensive testing, probably multiple times a day now. Do you think that this game has a chance of being shifted?
I think there's an outside chance, or I should say, no, I think it's a 50-50 chance because if you look at, we'll know tomorrow morning, by the way, with the Raiders, will let us know that they're doing all the contact tracing today, and all those guys are testing. So if they're considered a high risk, meaning they spent a lot of time in close proximity to Trent Brown, which most of them did, then the earliest they could come back is Saturday. So they'd still be eligible for Sunday, by the way. The problem is you wouldn't have practice. So my guess is if more than one of them is considered high risk, like 2 or 3 of them, then yes, I think the game would be a candidate to either move by day or later in the season, and they try to do it because it's a Sunday night game, so they don't want to give up the big audience, and so they might end up shifting the Sunday night game to another matchup and moving it to Monday or Tuesday. If none of the other offensive linemen come back as high risk, then I would anticipate that we'll see the game go off as planned.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think they want to get this game done on the Sunday night. Big game, Gruden, like you said, the subplots, the storylines, everything's there. The buildup is there. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, though, because COVID-19, we're hearing today. It's part of one of my segments later in the show, halftime, that the NFL is already making preparations and preparing to play the Super Bowl in March if need be. So if these and as you know, we're in October, coming into November, cold and flu season is going to start up. We're going to see a lot more of these. So I definitely think a week 18 is going to happen. I don't know how about you, but if this game isn't able to get shifted to Monday or Tuesday, if it needs to be, they're going to probably have to play a week 18 as the Raiders just had their bye week.
Correct. Yeah, and that was the thing. We talked about it a lot on the radio show moving up to the bye week, which was, everybody I think is in the same position. Whereas you're seeing all these teams have positives and it's been controlled. But at what point could a team have it? I mean, imagine like what happened today was a nightmare scenario. It's your entire offensive line, or if it was your entire quarterback room, what do you do? So I think that the NFL has those plans in place. And they're going to do it, but it impacts a lot of things. I mean, I saw some of your readers talking about the odds on the game. The odds this morning here in Las Vegas had the Buccaneers at a 3-point favorite where they've pretty much been the whole time. And now the game's off the board. So they're not even taking bets on it until they find out tomorrow. So there's a lot of impact, and it's certainly not the first time, and it's certainly not going to be the last time I think we have this happen to a team in the NFL as we move along.
Absolutely, I definitely agree. I couldn't agree more with that. And it kind of seems like the NFL they made you think they had a plan, right? They made you think they had this big plan if things are going to be able to schedule changes and this and that, and then it happens, and they're like, "Oh, crap! But what are we, what are we doing?"
Tuesday.
Yeah, we got a problem. I mean, I don't know. I'm interested to see how this all plays out. I think that the season gets finished. I don't think they have to shut it down, but it's definitely going to be a lot of switching games around and maneuvering people's bye weeks and schedules, and probably adding a week 18, if not a week 19, as we get into this cold weather season and everything like that. But I know you got to get out of here, so we'll end the show with we'll end the segment with you kind of give me your thoughts on this game. Who do you think wins? What do you think the kind of like the stats are going to be? How close is it? Give me all your thoughts and predictions on this game.
Well, I had some really distinct and I think clearly thought out, well-argued points before the action of this morning, and I was at practice when all this happened at the Raider facility, and it kind of threw everything into a tizzy. But I really thought it would be, despite as good as the Buccaneers defense was, I thought we would have a pretty high scoring game. It's a huge game for the Raiders because coming off of the momentum of the Chiefs, it's a home game for them. The last time they were here at Allegiant Stadium, and of course we can't have fans here in Nevada, so it's a little bit bittersweet. But the last time they lost to Buffalo in a game where they beat themselves. So I thought the Raiders were preparing and were ready and would make this a game. Would they win? I wasn't necessarily sure of that, but I thought that it would be close, and I thought that both teams could touch 30s or mid 30s and make it a close, nice shootout for a Sunday night game, one full of action. Now with what's happened today, I definitely favor the Buccaneers winning the game. There's no question. I think it's going to be tough for the Raiders to compete with them. I think full strength would have been fine. I think they would have put up a good game and may have chance to win that one. Right now, I'm just at the situation where I think, look, I think the Raiders could stay in the game, but it's all going to depend on how that offensive line can do. And with the Bucs defense just really with a huge sense of momentum coming off the Packer game, that makes me nervous. So I don't, I didn't grow up a Raider fan. I look at it objectively, and I look at the Buccaneers, sneaking out of here with a 4 to 7 point win. But the Raiders making it a little closer than people think.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. Before the offensive line news, this team is at a bye week. It's so they're rested, and it nicks their bumps or bruises. Hopefully they're a little bit healed up. Plus, they're coming off a huge win against the Chiefs, so they're on a high there. They feel like they're kicking on all cylinders. And now you lose. You've already lost your cornerback. Now you're losing one of your top safeties. Now you lose your best offensive lineman, and now potentially 4 other members of your offensive line, which has been one of the better offensive lines in the league this year, up near the top. So I think that beforehand, as you said, it would have been a lot closer game. It would have probably been a back and forth. I think they would have found ways to score points on this defense. But now looking at it, I agree with you. I think it's a 4 to 7, maybe even the Bucs get rolling and they just can't get anything moving on offense, and the Bucs win by like 14 points. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, especially as you just said too. The Buccaneers coming off a big win themselves against Green Bay and feeling really good. But I want to thank you for your time. It's Scott Gulbranson, host of the Silver and Black Today radio show, R&R 920 AM. Why don't you tell them where they can find you real quick if they want to get some more information before this game pops up on Sunday night?
Sure. Yeah, you can find. We actually have a website too. We're the only independent news website that covers the Raiders based here in Las Vegas. It's silverandblacktoday.com. The show you can hear every day. We had Greg Allman from The Athletic down in Tampa on today to talk about the Buccaneers. You can find that on any podcast feed. If you just want to listen to that interview where he talks about the Bucs, you can do that. You can also stream us. You'd have to actually put the official Raiders app on your phone, which I know might not be what you want to do, but you can listen to us directly from there, or you can find us at lvsportsnetwork.com and listen to the station. And even it'd be great to get some Buccaneers callers in these days, but we have all Raiders programming from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. So you can check us out there at lvsportsnetwork.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time. Going to be a good game this week. I can't wait for it. Hopefully that offensive line, I know Trent's gone, but hopefully the rest of it's good and we can get a real competitive Sunday night game like when you looked at the schedule you thought it would be.
That sounds good, guys. Thanks so much and enjoy the season.
Absolutely. You too. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye now.
So there you go. Scott Gulbranson, Behind Enemy Lines, learned a little bit about the Raiders there, some of their strengths, some of their defenses, weaknesses on offense and defense. We're going to go out to the comments real quick and see what everyone's talking about. I'm sorry I neglected you. Again, you're watching the Audible with Joshua Cole Allen if you're just tuning in, powered by 320 Solar. Check out 320solar.com. Say goodbye to your electric bill and take power back into your own hands at 320solar.com. Check them out. They've got some great promotions. So we got my man, Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats. Hey, everyone. What's going on, Rick? My beautiful wife, Cannon. That's my son probably watching the show. Want to just get his name out there. We already talked about that, Eric. 38 points straight. Biggest margin of victory. Most points scored. Unanswered points scored since that 2000 Bears game where they won 41-0. Greg Hagan, who do you think we could honestly trade for? I talked about that a little bit. I don't see a big need. I don't see a glaring hole on this team that you're like, okay, we need to trade for somebody right now because we need help. I think they just did that with Steve McClendon. That was a huge hole for them. I think they filled it with that rotational piece. If anyone else has any ideas who they think they should trade for, obviously keep it in the realm of possibility. They did just free up over $4 million in cap space with the restructure of Ali Marpet, but I think they're a pretty good team. Matt Probus, what's up? Joshua Cole, looking good, bud. Thank you, my man, as always. Frank Ammons, let's go. The man himself. Look at, oh, there he is. He just pops out of nowhere. What's going on, Frank?
What's going on, my man? How's it going today?
Good. Everything's doing well. Family's good. Health is good. Bucks are rolling. I'm happy. You?
So I hear we made some cap space room.
Yes, Ali Marpet he restructured his contract, turned some of his salary this year into bonus, opened up $4.125 million in cap space. Now there's a couple guys that we need to re-sign: Chris Godwin, Levante David, maybe Gronk, Ndamukong Suh. So this cap space needs to be used by 2020 by the end of the season, I believe. So maybe you're looking there to maybe start working on a renegotiation for those guys. Or maybe they make a move. I just don't see where they would make a move. What about, do you see anywhere, you see any glaring holes that they would make a move before the trade deadline?
Well, it may not be for something they need right now, but maybe something is possible that when's the trade deadline? Next week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right. So anything can happen in 2 weeks, an injury or anything. So maybe that's just waiting to see what they got to do if they got to use it. So I don't feel like it's really meant to sign other guys. It's probably going to be done in the off season. It's probably for whatever they might need for this season, because it seems like they're all in to try to get the season maximized.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Just in case something happens. But I'm looking at the roster currently, and without an injury, I don't really see where they could use an upgrade. Offensive line, Donovan Smith's turned it around the last few games. He's looked really well. We all know the rest of the offensive line is just studs. Tight end room, I think you're good there. You don't need to bring anyone. Wide receiver, maybe you experiment with a John Ross from Cincinnati Bengals. He just asked for a trade request. He's got that speed, but and you've had some banged up injuries with the wide receivers, but on the defensive side of the ball, maybe a veteran outside linebacker, but I've liked what I've seen out of Anthony Nelson. And the cornerbacks, I think they're good there too. Same thing with safety.
Yeah. Well, we don't know who might be being shopped, or, they might want to pick someone up. I mean, I think the signs show that this year they're really trying to grab depth and make sure they're prepared for the long haul. So you never know, you never know what they might want to do. So I like it. I like the fact that they have something there in case there is somebody that comes across the wire or something like that, or someone that's getting shopped. Maybe they could make some moves. At the end of the day, we've seen them make this kind of move with Fournette and others to kind of solidify their depth in different areas. So, my opinion is, hey, they made space for a reason. So let's see what happens.
Maybe Antonio Brown. What do you think about that? I mean, he's due to be reinstated after next week, after week 8. There was a lot of talks around the offseason. Tom Brady wanted him here. Bruce Arians said he came out and said, no, we're not going to bring him in here. But with the injuries and the banged up wide receivers, I mean, Tyler Johnson has looked good. But if he comes available and it's like, hey, I'll take $4 million, is that something that you would be okay with? Would you dabble in the Antonio Brown pool?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, 1 year leash, that would be worth the risk, in my opinion. He's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot to prove, at least in his mind. So I think we could get maximum possibility from a little quick leash, 1 year leash deal. If he gives us a discount, of course. If he's got multiple teams after him, it's probably not a win for us. But if he's not got much, biting at him, maybe we could grab him. And I think if Tom Brady really wanted him, and he was a deal, they'll probably make room for him, because he's got a talent. We all know he's got a talent, and he's got some great speed and route running, and so he can open it up. I mean, can you imagine if we had that guy on our team and he actually acts like a regular person for at least 2 months, 3 months here, we would be unstoppable.
He's been out of the news. I haven't heard much of AB anywhere. You know, he had that stretch where he was just out of control, but I haven't heard about him. I know he's gotten a lot of help, but I mean, I think it's probably a low percentage it happens, but you never know. I mean, they did make that cap space. They have been having injuries with the wide receivers. Tom Brady loves the guy. They've kind of, it was been, mentioned all off season. Bruce Arians kind of said no, but who trusts the coach when they say stuff like that anyways? But moving, I mean, he has been rumored to Seattle too, but we'll see, we'll see what happens when he comes off of unrestricted. They also have Josh Gordon that they signed to that's already suspended. But let's move on to this weekend's matchup against the Raiders. What are you thinking? We just had Scott Gulbranson, host of the Silver Black Today radio show, kind of breaking down the team. And if you're just joining me, this is the Audible with Joshua Colan. I'm joined by guest Frank Ammons, 320solo.com. Make sure you check them out. They've got some great promotions that Frank will tell you about here in a couple of minutes. But yeah, going back onto this Raiders team, what do you think?
I mean, it's going to be probably a decent game. It's one of these games that can really swing either way. But I know this is the Bucs fan coming out in me, but I feel like the Bucs probably will be able to add on to what they did last Sunday. I think the Raiders could possibly give us a little bit of fits here and there in different areas. But if we can play even 75% of the game we played Sunday, the Raiders have no chance. At the end of the day, our defense is really what's setting us apart from a lot of people. And we know we can put up points. We just have to get it clicking, and we have to call the right plays. Running game has to be, going, and it's been going. So, if we play the possession game and our defense gets some turnovers, there's no chance for the Raiders. But the Raiders are also sneaky good. Their tight end is really good. Their defense is not bad either. Obviously they did what they had to do with Kansas City. Yeah. So, the Raiders are capable of winning this game. But I just feel like the Bucs should be. I don't know what's the line. What's
it's the line's not even available this morning. I don't know if you heard, but Trent Brown, their left tackle, was diagnosed, or he plays left tackle. He's on the COVID-19 reserve list. So today they had to send all of the offensive linemen home from practice. They're all going under contract tracing and testing. So their offensive line, they might be signing people off the street and practice squad to play. So, all that's in limbo right now. So they took it off the board. I believe it was at 3, then it moved to 7, and now it's completely off. Okay.
Well, hopefully the game can doesn't get delayed or canceled. But, so we'll see what I would think the Bucs would favor right before.
They were correct.
Okay. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, they should be able to win this game. But, at the end of the day, it's any given Sunday. It's any given Sunday 2020. So that's a little different. But I think we should be able to win this game. But, a couple bad plays on our end or a turnover here and there, that'll change anything. But if you just match up team by team, offense against defense, defense against offense, we should be able to win that game, but we'll see how it goes.
Exactly. And if you look at the running backs that the Buccaneers have played, you have Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Melvin Gordon, David Montgomery, Austin Eckler. Then Aaron Jones is one of the best running backs. They've shut them all down. Yeah. All of them have been shut down.
Yeah.
So now you have another good running back in Josh Jacobs. It's going to be interesting to see if the Raiders can get anything going, and if they can shut him down, then it makes them one-dimensional passing team. And I like this defense, as you mentioned, matching up against that offensive line without a running game. Better than I like their chances of losing it, because the Raiders have given up 30 points a game. Like that's a lot of points.
Yeah.
And the Buccaneers can easily, as we've seen, easily score 30 points a game. Their point differential is plus 55. It's the best in the NFC, and it's the third best in the entire league. So they're capable of putting up points, and they're capable of stopping people from putting up points. So
yeah, this is a great opportunity to build on the win from Sunday and build up some more big kind of game confidence. I don't think this is a big game, but it's a Sunday night game on TV. It's against the Raiders in Las Vegas, and against our former coach. So, we should win this game. And, if we can win it, I think that'll be good, because the last time we were on, well, I guess Sunday we were on national TV, but the last time we were on the only football
Prime
game,
time, yeah.
we didn't look so good. So
Exactly. And this is their first of their primetime games. Every team in the league gets a Thursday night game. This is their first of their primetime late night games, Sunday night. Chosen for this game because of the matchup, because of everything. It wasn't like, all right, we need a Thursday game, let's put the Bucks versus the Bears. So yeah. I mean, they got something to prove. That the spotlight's going to be on them, recognition's going to be on them. But anything else you want to add to that? Add to anything?
Yeah, I mean, just hopefully the Bucks can be consistent. I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. More of that defense to really get everybody excited, because that defense everybody's talking about this week. I think we got the number one spot now for the defense as far as so far in the season. And then let's get the offense and defense going at the same time, and let's see what the points difference is then. That should be exciting. So,
exactly.
But yeah, man, I just wanted to share that. Hey, I wanted to plug real quick if I can, and
absolutely.
I'm going to take a minute here if I can. Listen, for those of you out there who are looking for an opportunity, there's a lot of opportunities out there in the world, and some people might be struggling. Some people might have many opportunities, but I own a company called 320 Solar, and I've had the privilege of helping more than 50 people, teaching them, training them how to sell solar power, right? That's solar panels you put on your roof. And we have a great program that allows homeowners to grab that program and do it for zero out of pocket. And here's the good news. You can make $2,000 to $3,000, sometimes more, $1,000 per project you sell. Now imagine if you could do that a couple times a week. Imagine if you could do that a couple times a month, how much more money you can earn. I'm looking to mentor the next 10 people that want to earn 6 figures or more. And here's the good news, Josh. You can do this in your spare time if that's what you want to do. A lot of people want to do it spare time, then they realize how much money they can make, and they start doing it full time. I've seen lives changed by just doing this. My life was changed by getting into solar and selling it. I was literally, I know this is dramatic, but I was literally 6 years ago sleeping in my car when I got into solar. And because it's a hot demanded product, it also pays well. And usually opportunities, either they're a little harder to sell or there's not enough people wanting it. Well, guess what? This has got both, right? Yeah. This pays well and there's a lot of people want it. So we have a great opportunity. And I wanted to tell everybody that's watching your show, if you guys are interested in that, it doesn't cost anything to sign up. It doesn't cost anything to be trained. I will personally train you and help you from the convenience of your home through Zoom, get you everything you need to know how to represent 320 Solar and learn how to sell solar to your neighbors, to your friends, to your family, anyone you want as coworkers. Sell solar. It saves them tons of money and makes you money. How can you lose with that, right? So go to sellthesun.com. I don't know if it's below me or not, but sellthesun.com, and that's going to be a little place you fill out your information, and then I'm going to call you and we'll set up a time. And Josh, you filled it out, so I'm trying to get you on here. We got to get you trained, man.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I mean, extra money is always something that everyone could use. The fact that if you guys don't know, I am a stay-at-home dad, so it's perfect for me to be able to do in my spare time. And then once the kids start to go to school, just go full time and making my 6 figures.
Here, you can show people how solar works. You don't even have to go to their house. People prefer that nowadays anyways. And then our crew will come out and install it, any project you sell, and then boom, ba-ching, cha-ching, you get some money in your bank account, and you're going to be happy about it. So if anyone out there who's listening or watching this video are interested in that, at least talking about it, go to sellthesun.com. I'll be glad to work with you personally and show you how you can make good money and save people a lot of money.
Yeah, so check that out, sellthesun.com. And again, we want to thank you, Frank, for being such a big part of Bucks Report. 320 Solar. Make sure you check them out. Even if you're not interested in working, make sure you check it out if you own a house, because you can save a lot of money, put it back into your pocket. And do you have any promotions going on right now you want to plug?
Well, I was going to say, we get you trained. Contact Josh, because he's going to want to make that money.
Yeah, so, and I'll plug it all. Yeah. Even more than I already do. Come on, guys, give me a call.
I appreciate you letting me come on, Josh, and talk a little bit of business and Bucks, man. Awesome. Absolutely. Appreciate you. A great show, by the way.
Thank you. Talk to you soon, Frank. So there you go. Frank Ammons, 320solar.com. Not only giving you ways to save money, giving you ways to make money. Guys are real champion over here at Bucks Report. We love them. We appreciate them. So make sure you check that out. Sellthesun.com. Check that out. We're going to jump into halftime real quick. Then we'll bring our next guest who's already in the lobby. It's Ozzy the Sports Junkie from Sports Junkie Radio. I don't know if you guys watched the postgame show, but the guy is a legend. So let's get into the halftime show. It's brought to you by Malectronic Speakers and Headphones. Go to www.shopsoundsperfect. Save 40% off all their products. You got the Hat-Trick 2.0 right here. Great little speaker. It's awesome. They have a tons of wide variety of speakers and headphones, all 40% off. Use code BucksReport or at shopsoundsperfect.com. Christmas is right around the corner. Why buy expensive gifts when you can buy stuff that's discounted? Stocking stuffers, whatever you want. These things are great. They're a little spaceman. They got now, guys, I have Beats by Dre. I'm wearing the Malectronic headphones because they're that good. Again, I don't promote this stuff because they pay me. This is not a paid sponsor. Check them out. Same thing with my boy over here, Creative Customs on Facebook. Message me if you want to get in touch with him or just check out Creative Custom on Facebook. My boy, Braden Carlson. He makes these custom pops that look just like you. It's great. My buddy has already ordered 5 of them for his family. My other friend's already been ordering some for his family. Matt Colson's ordering some. So check it out. They got my little Bucks Report, Creative Customs, and Malectronic. Check them out for sure because great products, great prices, only available through Bucks Report sponsors. So we'll bring them to halftime. It's Tua time. So we got Tua time. He's coming down to Miami starting. They're pulling Ryan Fitzpatrick. They're on bye right now. Tua's going to be starting next week after the bye. So that's something. I know the league has been waiting. We've seen Justin Herbert light it up. We've seen Joe Burrow do a pretty good job. Now it's Tua time. Can't wait to see how this guy comes out. See if that hip is all good. Quick halftime today, too. AB to the Seahawks. AB to the Bucks. AB to the Raiders. Where's AB going to go? Maybe Ozzy has some information on there. Panthers kicker to COVID list. We talked about this 3 weeks ago, that the COVID list thing, that it's going to be a 6-day process to get players in and out of the system. So you would probably see a lot more kickers on practice squads like the Bucks have had. Well, Panthers don't have a kicker on their practice squad, and Joey Slide just tested positive for COVID. So they're not going to have a kicker for the Sunday. They'll probably have to use their punter or whoever their backup emergency kicker is. It's going to be crazy, interesting to watch. Hopefully that game comes down to field goals because I love watching position players kick field goals. It's great. New Orleans just got fans in the stands. Unfortunately for them, they already played the Bucks at home. So they got to come here next time, so that's good. Washington football team is most likely going to keep the Washington football team name for the 2021 season. And the NFL is prepared to push the Super Bowl back to March, which means they've had conversations with Tampa, with Raymond James Stadium and all that stuff to make sure those are good. So with that said, let's get to our next guest. He is Ozzy, the Sports Junkie, newest member of the Bucks Report family from Sports Junkie Radio. Let's bring him on here. There he is. Oh!
Hey, buddy, how are you there?
Hey, what's going on, Eddie?
What's happening?
How are you?
What's going on, man?
I was just hanging out, enjoying some of the fine commentary on your program, man. It was great hanging out with you people on Sunday. It was a fun time out there at the deck, and even a better time with that ass pounding we put on the Green Bay Packers.
Absolutely. That damn Packers fan when it was bothering everybody, though.
I couldn't deal with that guy. Drunk chicks everywhere, and no, it's a great time out there, man. It's a fun time, and my buddy Tom, my puppet Tom here, he enjoyed it.
Yeah, they got great food out there too.
Oh, they had unbelievable food. The drinks were all nice and cold. Good chicken wings. They're just great people, you know. I'll tell you, Peter Blake, maybe the hardest working guy in Tampa Bay, besides yourself. I mean, you guys are out there killing it. Just a fun bunch of guys, and I'm happy to be a part of it, man. I'm happy to be a part of the team as the Rays up 1-0 with Brandon Lau with a big home run in the first inning. Last night was a heartbreaker, but they got to get back tonight, man. Talk to me about. I just caught the COVID outbreak in Vegas. I mean, how does that affect? Is the game in question? It has to be in question, doesn't it?
It's in question as of right now. Trent Brown was their tackle was placed on the COVID-19 list. They sent the entire offensive line home for contact tracing. So we'll know tomorrow. We'll know tomorrow how many offensive line has, who else it's spread to, who's around, who else needs to go on the list, who else needs to quarantine.
Man, I'm glad I didn't. Initially, I was headed to Vegas for this game. I'm glad I didn't cement those plans in there. I'd be double pissed off.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. I mean, they called.
It's kind of funny. They had the Raiders in their They paid $600 million, Josh, in overtime charges to get that stadium ready. They could have put that in their pockets. I mean, to get it ready for nobody. They were going to have cut out characters of the season ticket holders, but then the cutout characters will have attended more games than the actual season ticket holders. So it's a mess, but let's hope it gets better. How about the Raiders, man? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
is it me, or does John Gruden just irritate the piss out of teams? That's why I think eventually he'd be a great college coach. He's always obsessed with the new guy. He's trying his best to run off Carr, the quarterback, who's doing a decent job. He's putting up numbers not that far off from Aaron Rodgers, and all Gruden does is bitch about him. They still, the old man's dead. They still make wacky draft picks and wide receivers that no one's heard of. But they're trying to get it together. They're not going to get the running game together, as we saw on Sunday. The Bucs they do not allow the run. I mean, say what you want about the Bucs defense. The pass, everything came together on Sunday. But the pass defense has been a little suspect at times, no question about it. But the run defense, they're number one in the NFL. Nobody can run on this team. Nobody can run on them. So even with Vita Vea out, and what a move by the Glazers to go out and get a nose tackle from the Jets, started for the Steelers. I mean, it shows they are
cheap too.
It's all in, man.
Super cheap. They actually got a pick back with it as well. I mean, they stole them away.
Teams do, Josh. The Patriots never sit on their hands. The Steelers. I mean, look at the teams that are always in the thick of it are the teams that go out and get the good players. And there's never a next year in New England. There's never a next year, and it's hard to put another team in that category. But the teams that are always in the finals at the end of the year are the teams that don't sit on their hands and say we're in a rebuilding mode. Well,
constantly looking for ways to improve the team at any avenue.
A rebuilding. As Buck fans, we don't want to hear that.
No.
I mean, I've been a Bucs fan for 35 years. And I've seen rebuilding projects come and go.
Been rebuilding since 2002.
Right. And I mean, say what you want. I love John Gruden. I mean, you can never take it away. He won a Super Bowl here in Tampa. But the second after he won that Super Bowl, he started destroying that team. Let's face it. He ran every quarterback out of town. He rubbed every player and media member the wrong way until he was eventually shown the door. And mark my words, he'll go about another 2 years in Oakland. And if they don't get deep in the playoffs, he'll bail out of that job and go back to whatever job pays him the highest. And that idiot inbred pan-dripping son of Al Davis with that horrible haircut, with his, I won't say it, but it rhymes with hag bag around his waist. Oh, my God. That guy is his own TV show in itself. He drives a minivan, like an 87 minivan. He sits there's a Chinese restaurant that gives free iced tea. He sits there all day long.
Yes.
He got a haircut that would maybe worse than John Gruden's. But I don't understand that guy, and he's now going to be the richest owner in the NFL.
Oh, it's crazy. So Mark Davis he's a creep.
He gave Gruden a 10-year deal. It's guaranteed. I wonder if Gruden quits, does he still get paid? Probably.
Yeah. These coaches deals, you still get paid if you quit. So I don't.
Maybe that much better than when he got there. I guess you could say now they are. Last year they weren't. I guess it's
I mean.
Again, they've been rebuilding as well. They've been in Buccaneer rebuild mode since the Super Bowl, you could say.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're doing pretty well offensively. I mean, they're ranked 6th offensively, but that defense is just, letting up 30 points a game. They're ranked, in the bottom 20, lower than 22 in almost all categories. So, I mean, I think the Bucs can go in there and just put points up on them.
Exactly. That's where we can go in there. I'll tell you, Sunday's game if you can run the ball, I mean, it's football 101, Josh. If you can run the ball, it sets up everything. And for a surgeon like Brady, if he's got a 100-yard back every game with all
forget about it.
He's unstoppable. That offense is unstoppable when they run the football 100 yards because he's got Godwin, he's got Evans. Evans had one catch Sunday. Mark my words. If they play Sunday, he'll have a huge game.
Oh,
He'll
yeah.
have a huge game. Or Godwin will have a huge game, or both. But it was good to see Gronk get a touchdown. He's got to be a big part of it now that O.J. Howard's out. Don't forget about Cam Brate. You know, we got the two top. Gronkowski has the most touchdowns in the last decade for a tight end. And second behind him is Cam Brate. So we got the two highest scoring touchdown tight end receivers in the last decade in the NFL if you need them.
Exactly. I mean, this team is just loaded with weapons. I mean, what do you think? I just kind of asked Frank. They just opened up some cap room by restructuring Ali Marpet's contract. They got about extra $4 million in cap room. Antonio Brown comes off the suspension list next week. What do you think about that?
I heard he's going to Seattle.
I heard that too, but that's not confirmed, and things could change.
I don't know. I think that wide receivers, like the last of our concerns. I heard you talking with the 320 solar guy on there. I want to sell some of those. Let me tell you something. I'm an electrician for 35 years, Josh. Solar energy is it's not a joke and it's not a scam. It's literally an ATM machine you put on your roof because not only, and I don't even know the dude, and I'm sure he does fine work, and I'm sure I'll get to know him a little bit better. But solar energy, and you get a kickback from the government. It literally, I've installed them for years. It literally is an ATM machine on your roof because the month that you don't use that power, it goes back into the grid and they send you a check.
Oh, wow.
FP&L, I just worry about the execs at FP&L. How are they going to make their rent and make the mortgage payment if we're not fleecing us for power bills every month? There's my unabridged take on.
No, trust me. I mean, being down here, coming from up north, in this
way to go.
In the summer, I mean, just the electric bills go sky high. I mean, you think it's a lot up in Boston, New England area in the summer when you put your ACs on. When you're down in Florida and you put your AC on in the summertime, it doesn't get cold at night like it does in Boston. It's hot and muggy and sticky all year round.
You got it on from like the beginning of second week of April till about Christmas.
Yep. And then you can open up the windows.
I'll tell you, it was nice the other night out there at the deck, and it's going to be
beautiful.
You have to pace yourself this week. I don't know if I'm going to make it up for the 8:30 kickoff. I might have to. We'll just go all night and have a breakfast show, top it off.
Monday morning with Aussies.
Because I mean it's a big matchup with Gruden, and I don't know though what would be the determining factor if half that offensive line's out. You know the Raiders would put up a grievance to not play the game. Be interested to see how it plays out. But then what do they do? The Bucs they'll have a second bye week. It's just I don't know what to do with the situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like they're going to have to either make a week 18 or something like that, and they would switch the bye week around which would really suck for the Bucs because at week 13 is such a perfect bye for them because it allows you to get healthy.
You hate to lose the mojo, Josh. I mean, they were playing.
Yes.
I mean, that's about as perfect as a game as I've seen in 35
but
years.
It allows you to have a 2-week break before the final 4 games of the season going into the playoffs to really cement home. And you're not playing all world teams. You're playing the Falcons twice, the Lions, and the Vikings. I mean, if you get some rest and go against and play those teams and, you win all those 4 games, I mean, let's say they're 4-2 now. Let's say they lose against the Saints and they lose against the Chiefs, just for talking purposes.
Right.
Now you're what? 10-4?
10-4.
With 4 games left? Oh, no, 12-4 with 4 games left? I mean, no, wait, I'm confused.
You take that all day long. The Bears game to me was a wake-up call for that team. They're a far better team than the Bears. And they were putting their foot on the throat, and they just let up. And I think Brady's little hissy fit on the sideline. Remember, it came after a 3rd and 13 that he just picked up. And then Ryan Jensen goes over and pops his finger in one of the Bears' chest and gets called for unsportsmanlike. They kick it back 15, and Brady just lost his cool on the sidelines, and I don't blame him. And for the first time in maybe Bucs history, there's a guy in that locker room who can put a foot in an ass with some authority behind it. They've never had anybody like that in their history with that kind of credibility. No one's ever had the credibility of Tom Brady. I mean, 6 rings, but I think he's even supersedes the coach because let's face it, Bruce Arians has won assistant is an offensive coordinator. He's won the Super Bowl. He won one in Tampa with Big Ben and the Steelers, but he's never won it as a head coach. So I guarantee when Tom talks, even Bruce Arians has to listen to what Brady has to say, and even Gronk as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I pointed out too, Gronk and Brady are coming down from New England, and they might not be Patriots anymore, but they've learned a lot there, and they know that this team is starting to find its identity. But you don't really know your identity until November, mid-November, and that's what you ride, and that's what you bring it into the playoffs, and that's where you start to really kick it into gear. You find what you're good at, you excel at that, and that's how they've won so many championships with Bill Belichick and the Patriots. And I think they're going to bring that down here. I think in November, this next month and December, you're really going to see a really cohesive, dominant Bucs team, both on offense and defense, barring injury, going into the playoff push.
No question about it, Josh. I mean, then that's where you want to see this game played Sunday, just for the sole purpose to keep that momentum going and keep.
Exactly.
Because I mean, the first 4 games, let's face it, were kind of preseason games. They were preseason-esque for Brady and company.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's the first team he's played with in the last 20 years that's not a Belichick-led Patriot team. And let's face it, they've designed that offense around Brady. I don't think he's learned Arians' system more than he's compromised on a system that they both can run. And I just like to see that game played on Sunday, and like to see another thorough ass whipping, because then each win kind of notches their foot into the mountain that is the NFC and the NFL. And I think a huge step was on Sunday. If they lost that game to the Falcons, or I should say the Packers, and it didn't start out well, as you recall, it was 10-0.
Yeah, 10-0.
And I looked at Pete. I said, "This is going to get ugly."
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as that came out of my mouth, Dean with the Jamal Dean, who's really turned into a stud. He's got the big pick to the house, and then Carlton Davis. They drafted every draft. It seems like for the last 5 years, they'll draft 3 or 4 defensive backs, and you're like, where are all these guys?
They finally got something to stick.
The Roosters are coming back to roost, or whatever that saying is, but they're getting some play out of the defensive backs. And I love them. The Winfield kid out of Minnesota is
my favorite player on the team right now. One of them.
I've always said, Josh, even in the worst days, when the Bucs were 2-14 in the old sombrero, they were god awful, but they always had that hammer defense. Even when they were getting killed, there was always guys, the Scott Brantleys, the Harry Hamiltons, the Ricky Reynolds, who just kill you over the middle. So and this team, they hang their hat on defense. When they won the Super Bowl, it wasn't a big offense that did it. It was their defense, and of course they had some weapons that year. But I don't know. It's a long season. It's easy to get carried away with one win like that over the Packers and early in the season. But hey, man, it is what it is. It's a win over a team that was undefeated and just killing it. How about this? When Dean picked that pass off, this is ridiculous. When Dean picked that off in the second, was it beginning of the first quarter, late in the second quarter, or late in the first, beginning of the second, whatever it was, that was only the 3rd pick 6 in Aaron Rodgers' career.
That was ever thrown.
That is ridiculous.
First interception of the season, too. It's crazy.
Winston's had 3 his last game as a Buck.
Exactly.
Just goes to show you. And I've never seen Rodgers that rattled. He was getting just tormented.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's good to see, because I expected a little bit of a down, maybe a little bit of a letdown from the defense with Vita Vea out. No such luck.
No, they were rolling.
Oh, they're vicious. And Dominican Sue. I mean, there's a guy right there. If Tom Brady doesn't come to the Bucs and Dominican Sue went to the Cowboys, there's no question about it. They'd have lost a lot of guys. I don't think maybe Pierre Paul, I think, had a year left on his deal, if I'm not mistaken. But I know Sue is a free agent, and a couple of those free agents, they would have went elsewhere, but they want to stick around with a winner.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. Ozzy, thanks for coming on, man. Welcome to the family. Do you want to promote yourself? You want what?
You going to be out at the deck on Sunday?
I should be for the pregame show at least. Maybe the whole thing. I'm still working out the details, but
Pico's long and hard, giggity. He went 2 hours pregame, and my girlfriend put her foot in my ass to ride home. I did a 2-hour post game. That was crazy. That was a fun time, man.
It's great. Once you get rolling, it just flies by too.
It's cool to be a part of a team that everybody gets along and appreciates everybody, and that's why we do it, because we love football, and we love the Bucs, and we love beer and bars and drunk chicks. And
Absolutely.
idiots from Green Bay.
From Wisconsin.
That's what's so great about football, man, because it brings people together as a community. Even in Florida, where everyone's from somewhere else, when the Bucks win, man, let's face it, everyone is a Tampa Bay blood through and through, from Sarasota to freaking Orlando.
Absolutely. Ozzy, thanks for coming on, man.
They got to get this win, man.
Yeah, they're racing to pull it off. Try to get the
anti-hoaxing. That gives them a little American League power against the Dodgers. Here's a quick question I'll leave you with. If Dave Roberts loses his third World Series, do you fire him?
I think you have to.
You have to, don't you? If
Absolutely.
Yankees manager and he lost 3 World Series in 4 years, there's no way you keep your job. As stupid as that sounds, I'd have to fire him.
Yeah, bring in somebody else. All right, Ozzy, thanks so much for coming on here. We'll look forward to seeing you all over the place.
See you, man.
Have a good one. There you guys go. Ozzy the Sports Junkie. He's a man. He's crazy. He's out of it. We got a special surprise guest. Our man, the prodigy, Jacob Charnow from Hard Count Podcast. And just so happens to be a Jets fan. So we have the go-to guy. It was coming. Give me all the information on Steve McClendon before this show's over because we're running up against it. But give me all this information about this guy.
All right, so Steve McClendon, absolutely fantastic leader, right? He's been on the Jets for however long now. He's been a guy who great in the locker room. Players, every single player respects him. You don't hear a bad thing about him, no matter who you're talking to. You don't hear a bad thing about this guy. And the reason they really got rid of him, the Jets, was one, they suck, and it feels like it's going to be a fire sale at this point. Those are the words that everyone's using, and I completely agree. And he's been such a respectable guy in New York, and everyone loves him so much. And he's getting up there in age that they're sending him to a place that he can win, because Joe Douglas, the general manager of the Jets, is like, listen, we're going into a rebuild. We're completely resetting the culture and all the players here. We're doing a roster flip. Most likely he wouldn't be a player who would stay around, even though he is a guy who you would probably want around during a rebuild with all your young talent. So they sent him over to Tampa to have a chance at winning. And that's really the main thing out of respect. And he's a good player. You're getting a really solid player in him. He's good. He's really good in the run stop, and that's just only going to add on to this Buccaneers run stop that's already fantastic. And there's not really a lot to say about him. He's just a very solid player.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited just because he fills a need on this team. He came inexpensive. We actually got a pick back for it. He's on a cheap contract, and he can definitely play some solid minutes for this team. He's been a great run stuffer, and if you look at his stats and his film, he's not a bad pass rusher as well. He can kind of get after the quarterback for a guy his size. Yeah, no, absolutely. He's solid all over the place. Just a very all-around talented player. So we'll run down a few things around the league that just popped up. Odell Beckham, did you see that? Odell Beckham he's been banned from LSU games for 2 years because he gave out the cash at the end of that LSU championship. And then LSU subsequently lost 8 scholarships too because of it. Wow. That's kind of crazy. You knew so he was trying to claim it was fake money and everything like that, but we're not.
OBJ is a bit problematic. That's kind of what I've learned in the time that he's been in the NFL and just around. He's been around, but
pink eye last week.
Yeah, that was, I don't know. There's just a lot going. He said that him and COVID have a mutual respect towards each other, and that it wouldn't enter his body as if he's like immune to it. He's just a weird guy. I don't know.
What are your thoughts about Tua time?
Ooh, Tua time. I think that Fitzpatrick was playing really well, but he knew. Like, I don't understand why. I mean, like, yes, he's playing fantastic. They have a chance to make it to the playoffs, but he knew he wasn't the future on this team. He knew they drafted Tua. He knew why they drafted Tua. And if Tua's ready to go, I think he's very talented. And if they're in a position that he can now lead them to a playoff spot, which I think that they're in a position that's possible, why not give your keys to the young kid? And if he's not very good, you can always put back in Fitzpatrick, because it's not like Fitzpatrick's consistent, right? Because how many more weeks are we actually going to see of Fitzmagic before it runs out? And so I think now is a good time going into the bye week to hand the keys over to Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah.
2 weeks to work with the offense and everything like that. The last thing before we hop off here, because we are up against it, Trent Brown tested positive for COVID, placed on the COVID-19 list for the Raiders, and then subsequently the whole team offensive line was sent home. They're doing contract tracing. What do you make of this? What are your thoughts on this COVID situation going forward when we're getting into the cold months of flu season and cold season? And do you think this game has a possibility of getting moved as we've seen from other games?
Possibly. I don't really. It depends what happens with who tests positive, how many people actually test positive with all this contact tracing. I think that really the only thing going to cold and flu season, get your flu shots, wear a mask, take all necessary precautions. Don't be an idiot when you're out there. Be smart. That's really it. If you're in no matter whether it's high risk or low risk where you are, wear a mask, keep everyone healthy around you, and we can get through this thing together.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, it's going to happen. We're going to see more COVID tests pop up. I think they're going to have to add a week 18. And you've said that if you've seen, the NFL said they're prepared to extend the Super Bowl into March. So I think we see a week 18. I don't know. What are your? I think we definitely see a week 18.
We'll see. I think we could see a week 19, week 20. I think there could be. There's a possibility that this just keeps going. And if they're even saying anything, the NFL, they don't like talking that much. Like, we know that they don't really like talking. So the fact that they're even mentioning that this could happen, that the Super Bowl could happen in March, we could have an early March Super Bowl, is concerning to say the least.
Because that's 4 weeks after the original Super Bowl is supposed to be played. So they're bracing for an extra 4 weeks possible. It's going to be crazy to see, interesting to see, because now bye weeks. What if you had a week 4 bye week? Now you're playing in week 20. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be crazy to see. But Jacob, thanks for popping in here real quick. I gotta go because I'm up against it. I gotta run through some of these comments. But thank you as always. We'll have you on again, and hopefully I'll pop on your show again soon.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, talk to you soon, my man.
Thanks, man.
So there you go, Jacob Charnow, surprise visit, told us all about Steve McClendon. Let's run through some of these comments before we have to leave. I've said it all year, the defense rocks. It sickens me to hear fans complaining about them. They've had a few bad plays. That defense has kept this team in the game and has given the offense opportunity to score. I completely agree, Mike. This defense is amazing. I don't know who's been talking crap about it because it looks great. Look out, Seattle. Here comes the big bad Bucks. Crystal Cole, I can't agree more. Although Seattle's been putting up points, they haven't been able to stop anybody. So I really don't think they're the team to beat in the NFC. I do think that they can put up points, but this defense has shown how good they are. Chill Will, Tyler Johnson's just jumped Justin Watson on the depth chart. He's been jumping Justin Watson on the depth chart after those 2 pick sixes coming his way, not fighting for the ball. Dean been balling. He's the second best cornerback according to PFF. You think AB will go to Seattle? I think that's the most likely destination. But as I said, I would not rule out the Bucks 100%. Tom Brady wants him here. Bruce Arians said no. They just freed up some money. He would be an amazing third wide receiver on this team. They did lose OJ, one of their weapons. Scotty Miller hasn't looked right since he injured his hip and groin. And Justin Watson has been trash. AB might go to Seattle. Again, we just talked about that. Tom Kennedy, Uncle Tom, Drew Brees. He's a Saints fan. Pay him no mind. He doesn't know better. Andre, Lego Buck. Lego Buck indeed, Andre. More snaps for Dean on the outside, less for SMB. I agree. SMB excelled in the slot. I don't know why they're taking him out of there. They need to put him back in there. Again, you guys are just joining. This is the Audible. We're wrapping up here, but we're powered by 320 Solar. Check them out at 320solar.com. Check out Sell the Sun if you want to sell solar. Sellthesun.com. Hit up your man Frank Ammons. Johnny Dean. Bottom line is make Derek Carr ineffective. Absolutely, you got to take him out. And with that offensive line not being there, we talked about that. I think you have a very good chance to make him ineffective. I doubt you're able to rattle our offense. Not with that defense for the Raiders. I don't think so. Jackie D, good points. Rick Hughes, Raiders O-line is cursed again. Stampa, has anyone seen Barrett Robbins? No, I haven't seen him in a long time. Mike Cooper, what's the odds on Raiders pulling the victory? With no offensive line, with that offensive line on COVID, slim to none. Mike Cooper, odds, Vegas should know. I guess it's been pulled, as you heard from Scott earlier in the show. Love watching our defense. They nationwide. This defense is amazing. -7 was the line this morning. Love you, Josh. Love you too, my boy on Hal. Brady's winning a bowl without the other old man. Mark my words. Oh, yeah, I think they're going to the ship at least. Who gets more snaps, Steve or Nacho, by the end of the year? I think it'll probably be split down the middle. Different situations, different teams, different lineups. Didn't they say before the season they were working on LVD's contract? This seems the most logical play they start working on first. I agree. I think LVD gets handled first. I think you make him a buck for life. AB isn't coming to Tampa. He won't be on Arians' radar at all. I don't necessarily agree with that. Brown is not needed. Brady just needs to build more rapport with the existing receivers. I'm saying Brown could come here. I don't necessarily want it, but I think it could happen. As a Boston fan, just remember you have Tom Brady. He's capable of everything. It is a great time to be a Tampa fan. Believe in the GOAT. Hell yeah. Made Rodgers look ugly. They gave up. They pulled Rodgers halfway through the fourth quarter. Just pulled him. Send a link, and I'll share in the Boston area. Waller and Ruggs are real. Ruggs is Kamara-like, and Waller may be the most underrated tight end in the league. But if the Bucs defense continues to put pressure, I see no issues in this game. Don't let the Raiders Chiefs fool you. The Raiders O-line isn't on par with the Packers. I agree. But they are banged up now. So terrible move. Tua needs to continue to learn and process what makes the successful quarterback in the NFL. Fitzmagic needs to play until the magic wears out. Yeah, I mean, muscle learn. I think that was for. Fitz is always smiling because he has no pressure. He knows he's the consummate journeyman quarterback. At this stage, he is the Tom Brady of backups and is happy with that. Guy is having fun. I agree. Fitz just doing his thing. It just Fitz magic. Fitz, you know. Fitz smiles because he knows he's effective and a great player, but he knows his role accepted. He's also a Harvard grad, so he's got that in the bag too. But that's going to do it for me. That's going to do it for the Audible. I want to thank our sponsor of the show, 320solar.com. I want to thank our guest, Scott Goldmanson, Ozzy the Sports Junkie, surprise guest, Frank Ammons, and Jacob Charnow. Keep it up here right next for the Sports Web with Peter Blake. I'm your host, Joshua Colan of the Audible. See you guys next Wednesday. Talk to you soon.
We them bugs, and we taking over. 31 teams, best look over your shoulder. We them bugs. It's our time to shine. They ain't never gonna stop, and we on the grind, and we them bugs. Our team is louder, putting fear up in the league, and they folding power. We the bugs, and we winning it all. The ship is in our backyard, and this year is ours.
Stay tuned for the evolution of sports talk television, the Sports Web with Peter Blake.